GS, it is the cutoff deciding paper. And regarding the CSET, it is mainly, it is only the qualifying aspect. For instance, we just have to get around more than 33% marks in CSET. But for GS, the higher it is, the better. Usually the cutoffs are around 100 for general candidates and accordingly slightly lower for other category candidates. So to clear the civil services, one has to target 110, minimum 110, because if we have a safe margin above the general cutoff, then we would be mentally very satisfied, mentally at ease, at calm, and because of which we would be able to prepare for mains from the day we have given the prelims. So this should be the target. Prelims target GS should be that we should score more than 110 for civil services. But if any of you are aspiring for forest service also, and in my personal opinion, you should aspire, because it's a very great service, very it has many positives over IAS and IPS also. So for that, the prelims cutoff would be around maybe 110 to 115. Accordingly, you should target minimum 125 marks for IFS prelims. Then coming to the prelims, yes, it first I'll talk about the sources. I think most of you might be knowing about the sources, that Lakshmikant is the sole authority, the sole source for polity. Spectrum is the most important source for modern history. Now, what I have written, 80 to 90% or 60% is the content which we have to actually read from that. As for instance, in Lakshmikant, barring one or two chapters which might not be so much fruitful, so much useful, most of it is useful. But in Spectrum, I have written 60% or 70%, you may read. So there are many portions of Spectrum which are redundant. For instance, when they would be dealing about tribal uprisings or peasant revolts, then they have listed down around 50 peasant revolts, or maybe some small incidents also they have mentioned. So those all can be ignored. Only the most important aspects, the most important revolts can be remembered. For instance, for tribals, it would be Santhal rebellion, then Birsa Munda rebellion, and two three more. So that's why I have written only 60%. And now what why or how to find out that which portion we have to read and which portion we have to skip is, it would be based upon previous year questions. Then thirdly, coming to medieval and ancient history and culture. Here, I think the many students, they face a issue of difficulty, because there are no concise sources. Plus, if we go in-depth preparation of these topics, then the cost benefit is very poor. Maybe suppose these three topics may cover around 5 questions per year at max. And out of those 5 questions, if anyone is having any general idea also, he would be able to cover 1 or 2 questions. And if anyone specializes in preparing all these three, ancient, medieval, and culture, even then he would be able to solve 1 or 2 more. But still there would always be 2 questions or 3 questions, in fact, sometimes, that no one might have heard them, no one might have seen them, and you just either have to guess or you have to leave. So my personal strategy has always been that I have not given much focus on ancient, medieval, and culture. Just I do just that portion which in which I can solve the low hanging fruit type of questions. Then coming to geography, here 11th or 12th NCRT books, particularly physical NCRT, those are very beneficial, and they should be read almost cover to cover, barring the first chapter which just deals about the introduction to physical geography, what is physical geography and all those. So those can be ignored. Other than that, it is very important. Then environment. Usually for environment, one source is mainly told, which is Shankar IAS book. But in my personal opinion, again, the cost benefits of Shankar book is very poor. For instance, we might have to give around 10 days or 7-8 days, minimum 7-8 days have to be given to read the book thoroughly. Then significant amount of efforts would also go for revision and memorization. Even then, we won't be assured that whatever question comes in the prelims, we would be able to answer it, or we would be able to recall it from the things which we have read in Shankar. So that's why our study in environment should be also focused, should be smart preparation. And for that, the basic necessary portion should be 12th NCRT biology's book, last 4 chapters. They are around 13, 14, 15, 16. These 4 chapters have to be read. Then there are many YouTube courses also on environment. They may be crash courses, and you just check the overall duration of that course. The videos may be 10 to 20, and their length may be 30 minutes to 1 hour. So overall, the length or duration of the course may be up to 20 hours. So if it is so, then you can check that crash course also regarding environment. So this would cover almost everything about environment. Plus, I also can share some of my notes through which the aspirants can get a brief idea that what exactly they should read about the environment and what all they have to ignore. Then coming to economy aspect, here uh, I had referred to Mrunal sir's videos, but it was in 2015-16, and I kept on revising those again and again during my next attempts. So but now I have heard, or I have also seen, that he has created a very vast course. In fact, which earlier used to be around 40-50 hours, it's now translated into more than 100 hours. So here again, I think the cost benefits are becoming poor for Mrunal sir videos, although his explanation skills are very good, unparalleled, I must say. Then so if anyone is facing issues with that, or if anyone considers that it is too much time consuming, then Sri Ram would be the option. Then we also have to read the budget speech document would be available on indiabudget.gov.in. Then economic surveys gist only should be read, not the entire economic survey, only the gist. And gist can be read or prepared mainly through 2 3 options. One would be 50-60 pages gist of any coaching institute, or it may be uh, any YouTube videos of any coaching institute. These can be, any one of these can be done. Plus, one video would be there of the chief economic advisor. So during the release of economic survey, he also covers the gist of economic survey, whatever main themes they have covered in that year's economic survey. It is covered by chief economic advisor. So it is, I think, of around 1 hour video. So you have to watch it. Then science and tech, uh, again here the students, many of them, they waste a lot of time on reading 6 to 10th NCRTs. So that also, in my personal opinion, is a complete waste of time. Each one NCRT book may take around 2 to 3 days, and if we are reading 5 NCRTs, then 5 days are completely washed away. So here also some smart strategies need to be adopted. First of all, two things should be realized. One, that mostly the science and tech questions are from current affairs. Two, that even if they are not from current affairs, they are from contemporary issues or contemporary themes, and those contemporary themes can be covered from any coaching institutes magazines, also some special editions also. They would be hardly around 40-50 pages. And if any of the aspirants are anxious about that, we have many have told about reading NCRT 6 to 10th and all those, then I can share my notes also. So I have translated around 100-150 pages NCRT book to hardly 5 to 10 pages of document for each of the classes. So those short notes can be covered in around, I think, 3-4 hours every class. So you can refer those. Acha, Avantika ma'am or Charan sir, are the audience, the aspirants, are they all the students of Kavish, or they are others also? I mean,
Um, Yes, 90% students over here are part of Kavish, and 10% students are, we have invited them to join from other institutes or
All,
maybe self-preparation. 90% asked
all
to.
right, all right.
Hmm.
All right. So for science and tech, you may refer your own coaching notes also. For economy, rather than Sriram, you may refer Kavish if you are comfortable with and also if you find them interesting. Then for environment, uh, apart from this crash course on YouTube, you can refer Kavish. So this you have to do on your own. Next, please, slide. Now regarding current affairs sources, so primary source can be any one coaching institute notes. So here for your case it may be Kavish, or you may decide upon any other coaching institute also. Then there should be a supplementary current affairs source also, because sometimes the coaching institute persons who are preparing the current affairs material, they may skip something, or uh, or sometimes we also need to get an idea that which exactly topics are more important, because the current affairs material, they would be listing down hundreds or thousands of topics and in detail. So definitely we may not be able to recall everything. So there should be some secondary source also, which may do two things. One, it may plug some loopholes in the primary source, and secondly it will also give an idea that which current affair topics are more important, because only the most important topics would be covered in current affairs, would be covered in those. So here I had referred to some crash courses on YouTube. Usually they are released within I think 15-20 days before the prelims. Then there is one very different there is one very different source which usually people or the aspirants do not read, or probably do not know about it. There is because right now we have the BJP government, NDA government rather. So they release in May or June, they release a booklet, a PDF booklet, which mentions about their last 1 year achievements, or sometimes last 7 year achievements. And that booklet is a very crisp booklet, crisp material about every kind of scheme, every kind of policy decision which the government has taken till now in last 7 years or last 1 year. So that is a very important source, and it just gives an idea that what exactly is the most important topics for the government. So in my personal opinion, this is a very smart source, and it can be read in around 3-4 hours. Then PIB year end review, they also have to be covered, but mainly for 3-4 ministries or departments. One for MOEF, it should be done. For Ministry of Agriculture, for DBT is Department of Biotechnology, and DST is Department of Science and Technology. So only for these four ministries or departments, PIB year end reviews can be checked. And these are released in the last week of December of every year. Now coming to the miscellaneous questions. So uh, if anyone talks about that, what is the most important point, the most important strategy to clear the prelims with very high marks, also with a safe margin, not high marks but safe margin, objective should be safe margin. So here the most important thing is previous year questions analysis. And why they are more very important is because that we get a feel, we get an idea of what exactly areas we have to focus, because UPSC, or in fact every exam is different, and our preparation should be streamlined to the requirements of that specific exam. For instance, I think many of you might have seen or might have heard that some questions about what is the height of Katrina Kaif, what was the shirt jersey number written on Virat Kohli's jersey. These sort of questions have also been asked in some or the other examinations. So UPSC will never ask such questions, or not even the questions like who is the current Chief Justice of India, or who was recently appointed as the Secretary of Ministry of Coal or Ministry of Environment. So these type of questions are never asked in UPSC. And exactly what is asked, this previous year questions will tell. And till what depth we have to go for every question, that again previous year questions would be able to tell. Then a slightly deeper utility also is given by previous year questions, which is that exactly what kind of questions are framed by the examiners and how the options are set. Regarding this specific thing, I can take a session in the future, uh, because this thing is very important. For instance, if you get a good idea about how questions are made, how questions are framed, and how options are framed, so your guess making abilities would be improved drastically. And guess making is a very important skill for prelims, at least, because usually, including me or any other person, they hardly know around 30 to 40 questions, 100%. And most of the questions, in fact, more than 30, 40 questions are only guesswork. Now, guesswork will depend upon or will vary from 90% confidence to 10% confidence. But still, guesswork, I say guesswork when we are not 100% sure. Even if it is 99%, then also we are making a guess. Even if it is 1% tilt towards any specific option, then also it is guesswork. So how to improve our accuracy in guesswork? This we can improve using the analysis of previous year questions and options. Then, yeah, newspapers are important to keep in touch with the current affairs, and you may refer to one newspaper, maybe Indian Express or Hindu. Then also, sometimes I used to refer a lot of YouTube videos to understand some difficult concepts, particularly in geography and economy. In geography, some of the physical phenomena, they are very difficult to visualize, but the videos, they often the videos, they have the animations also. Or regarding economy, they explain some economic concepts in very easier terms, easier languages. So in case you are not able to understand some concepts in the class, in the coaching, then you can refer YouTube videos also. Now the sources are complete. So oral strategy, the most important thing, previous year questions analysis, I have told. Then sources should be very limited. In Again, in the market, lot of rumors are also running that we have to do these. There should be very limited and very specific and very directed sources. Only the most important sources have to be read, and those sources have to be revised multiple times. And how we would be able to ensure multiple revisions is through short notes. For instance, for the first reading, we can just go through the all the sources, or maybe any standard book. Then we would be, ideally we should do previous year questions analysis, because so that we can identify that which exactly were the areas or are the areas which have to be focused while rereading the standard book for the second time. Then while you would be reading the book second time, then also you won't be making notes, but yes, you can underline or highlight. Then again, in my personal opinion, you should refer to previous year questions, and then again you should come back to the source, and then you have to derive the your short notes. So in the third iteration of your revision, notes can be made, or notes should be made. Otherwise, notes would be very bulky. Then calculated risk and intelligent guesswork, that also I have told. And this also is ignored, disciplined schedule, but it is very important. For instance, your study hours should not be very varying. For instance, on one day you are studying 13, 14 hours, or on other day you are either not studying at all, or you are giving only 1 to 2 hours. So there should be some consistency and some gradual improvement in study hours. And please do not trust the toppers who just say that we have studied only 4 to 5 hours per day, and even then we are getting selected. I think maybe they are god gifted, but many of the mortals are not god gifted. And personally, for me, I have studied on an average maybe 9 to 10 hours per day, and it has varied. For instance, just before the examinations, it has gone till 14 hours also, and maybe 3, 4 months before the examination, it used to be around 7, 8 hours. So average out, it would be 9 to 10 hours per day. Then sleep is a very important aspect. For instance, earlier in my initial attempts, I used to think that whatever time I am giving to sleep, it is a wastage. But actually, if you sleep less, or if you sleep very intermittently or irregularly, then will seriously impact your memorization. So sleeping should be optimum at around 7 to 7.5 hours, and it should be in a strict schedule. Then physical activity and exercise are also important. Healthy hygienic food, there is no need to tell about its importance. Then some aspirants also ask that, sir, after a lot of study or study hours, sometimes I lack motivation to study further, or I'm not able to sit down. So there some other sources, infotainment sources can be referred. For instance, if you search on YouTube, then you just type ABP News Pradhan Mantri. So that is a very good series, and it would be very entertaining also. Plus, it may be useful for GS1 of mains. Then ABP News Bharatvarsh also, it is very good. And test series, regarding the test series for prelims, it should be optimum in number. It should not be neither very less, maybe 3 4 tests. It should definitely be more than 5 6 tests, but not more than 20 tests. Right now also, I have seen a trend in some of the so-called toppers, that they are solving around 50 60 tests, and they are taking tests as a means of revision. So rather than tests, we should just revise our short notes for actual revision. And the test should be just to check our temperament and check our weak areas. Other than this, tests have not much utility. Only our orientation should be focused, should be directed as per the UPSC. And for that, we have to do previous year questions again and again. Maybe 3 times we have to check previous year